Happy Tuesday! Welcome back to SJU Live in the Morning. I am Roth Cornett, joined by an esteemed group of ladies and gentlemen, including Roxy Stryer, Spencer, very nice, Spencer Gilbert, Dan Murrow.
Hello.
And we have lots of box office things to talk about today. Dan will be back later this afternoon to do a very deep dive on the box office this weekend. But let's take a look real quick right now. Let's look at those numbers, Dan. They're impressive.
Yeah. Well, you know, we talked on Friday. We were trying to break down the business and, you know, what the possibilities were. It could be the top 5 this. And I think one of the quotes was like, if it exceeds expectations and brushes with 200 million, then all bets are off. Well, all bets were off because right now, every time that they revise the estimates, they keep going up. Right now, Black Panther estimated $201 million over the 3-day weekend, and even higher over the 4-day weekend. I don't even want to estimate, because every time someone says the estimate, it ends up being higher than what the estimate was.
It's pretty crazy. It's so expected to surpass 235 million for the 4-day weekend. And if we want to put that in a little bit of context, we talked about this before the show. One of the things that it has outpaced already, it looks like it's going to outdo The Last Jedi. It has, and now take this with a grain of salt, because as Dan said, this will apply to many films. However, for comparison's sakes, through the 91 days in theaters, the Justice League made 228 million domestically, which means that Black Panther will have outpaced it in 4 days, its entire domestic run. And that is only to give us the context that that's pretty impressive. That is a lot of money for a solo superhero outing. That's the same for the X-Men movies.
Every X-Men movie not named Deadpool, Logan, 6 other MCU movies, Batman Begins. Like, granted, Batman Begins was, came out 10 years ago. But just saying that, like, just outside of the superhero genre, even, like, this is one of the top 5 best openings of all time. It had the 2nd best Sunday of all time. It had, if the estimates hold up, the best Monday of all time, which is a whole other thing that we can talk about, is how this thing went from day to day to day to day, and it built, which is the opposite of what you usually see. I had a busy yesterday. I'm gonna have a busy today, because there's lots of charts to make and lots of numbers to go through. But I mean, there's no arguing with the size of this opening, which is, it's massive. Have
you guys been tracking this over the weekend, paying attention to the box office?
Yeah, not really surprised, though. Honestly, I think that people were legitimately concerned that this film was going to get spoiled for them, because the hype was real on this. And I think people were like, must get there by the end of the weekend or else. And good, because the movie's great.
Yeah. Was that sort of, you and your wife went to see this one? You said that she wasn't necessarily normally as interested in superhero movies, but did want to see this. So the question remains, did Jackie like it?
Oh, yeah, she loved it. Her comic book movie preferences hinge on certain dudes, where, like, we saw Ant-Man because she likes Paul Rudd.
Sure.
And we saw Black Panther because she likes Michael B. Jordan.
These
but
are fair.
We both love the movie, and I want to go back. I think this is one of the few that I would go for, like, I feel like I missed some stuff. I'd like to take it in again at round 2 at the theater, so I think that this will actually hold up as the weeks go on.
Do you think that that's one of the things that we're already seeing is repeat viewings even over the weekend?
Yeah, that's, when we were talking Friday, I was like, I'm so interested to get the feedback, and I hope that there are organizations that do this, because I do want to know what's driving the repeat business. Because when you look at a movie like this, escalating day to day, it's 3 things. It's overall enthusiasm just across the board. It's word of mouth, people that didn't go see it on Friday or Saturday that are going on Sunday or Monday, and it's repeat viewings. And I wish that we could figure out the breakdown between like how many of it is people going to see it for a 2nd or 3rd or 4th time, how many of it is people that maybe weren't interested in it that are going to see it, and then because usually what you see with these movies is a huge burst of things on Friday because everybody wants to go see it on the first day, and then Saturday and Sunday it kind of tails off. And with this movie, it kind of went the opposite way. It still lost a little bit of business day to day. We'll see how it goes Sunday to Monday, but it wasn't that kind of like this curve. It was kind of more of like a slow grade. And as to where this is going to end up, I don't know. I honestly don't, because you're in the top 5 openings of all time and it's trending up.
Yeah, right. I mean, there are people, you just said, I'm going to see it again. I wasn't able to this weekend, frankly, because everything was so packed. But I certainly am going to see it again. Would you see it again? And also, did you feel the rush to see it this weekend before you were spoiled on social?
Well, it's hard to separate that from it being my job to sit here and talk about movies. So I feel like if I hadn't seen it, I would have to wait outside.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah. So yes, I did feel the rush to see it.
We'd still invite you into Quip, I think.
Yeah.
But I also really did. It was important to understand what Jackie thought about it.
Yeah, I couldn't go into Friday having not seen this, so I had to go Thursday night at 1 in the morning. And that was the only option.
Well, that's why you're so tired.
Yeah, that's true. But because first of all for work, but also because everybody I knew was seeing it on Thursday or had already seen it. Like, that was just the way it is. And I know so many people, I can't give you stats, Dan, about how many repeat viewers there are, but just in my group of friends, Thursday and Sunday. So many people went Thursday and Sunday, and that was the way it was. At least 2 times. I know a lot of people have gone 3 times at this point. So there's got to be a ton of people who are repeat viewers.
There's a lot to unpack with the movie. This puts it, just again, to give a little bit more perspective, this is the 5th movie to debut with over 200 million. That's in the 3 days, not the 4 days. When you get into the 4 days, it's actually even more impressive. And looking at those movies, they are Star Wars: The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Jurassic World, and The Avengers. So when I say that it's looking to potentially outpace The Last Jedi, I mean for the 4 days, not the 3, which is even more interesting, right? Because it means that it went up.
Right. It's gaining momentum as time goes on, which again is oftentimes the opposite. You lose it as time goes on. That was certainly the case with The Last Jedi. Huge burst, and then it really kind of went like that. Made a shitload of money because it's Star Wars. The second weekend I think is going to be. I think you're going to see a great second weekend just based off the enthusiasm and the fact that this isn't the summer where if people want to go see it a second time, they don't have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of the summer week, like especially college kids and kids that are in school. They're back in school today.
Those kids.
So I think you're going to see a great second weekend because you can have all the people that couldn't go see it this weekend and want to go see it again, or people like you, Roth, that couldn't go see it the first weekend but that want to see it again, or see it for the first time in the second weekend are going to go on the weekend. As opposed to summer, it's kind of spread out during the week a little bit. So I think you're going to see a fantastic second weekend for this movie, and I am curious to see where that goes based historically on how movies perform in their second weekend. Because again, this could be a movie like. Wonder Woman was another one like this last summer where the tracking kept going up and up and up as you got closer, and then it came out and blew away expectations. The same with It. And it had amazing legs as well. Both of those movies had great legs.
What is coming out next weekend? What's its competition?
They're not blockbuster films. It's like Annihilation is coming out. You get the following weekend, you'll get Red Sparrow. But right now it sits as kind of with very little competition in terms of being a blockbuster film. It's also, as Spencer said, a movie that you want to watch more than once because there's a number of things to unpack and it's enjoyable. I would be curious, typically drop-off is about 50% roughly. I think this is going to be a pretty impressive, I don't know, could this get into only, what?
Well, if you're
record-breaking
drop-off?
Maybe. I'm going to look at the numbers for charting later today. But if you're talking about a 50% drop-off, then you're talking about a $100 million second weekend, which, a lot of people are like, $100 million second weekend. But again, every projection that this movie's had, it has blown past it easily. So I don't know. You never know. This is one of those movies that it's like tracking doesn't count for movies like Black Panther because there are a handful of them, maybe 1 or 2 a year, that come out that aren't just hits, that are like genuine phenomena. And this is one of those. We had a couple of them last year. I'm sure we'll see, Infinity War. I wouldn't be surprised if this over-indexes even compared to Infinity War, because Infinity War, in a way, is now the junior brother to this movie, in a way that Justice League was the junior brother to Wonder Woman unexpectedly, whereas that Wonder Woman was the smash hit. And then Justice League came out, and there were a lot of reasons, but a lot of people were like, oh, the other DC movie. And I think now that Black Panther has over-indexed so well and has gotten such great reviews, in a weird way now, Infinity War, I think, is kind of like, oh, the other Marvel movie that's coming out. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. Get your hands ready, because for one theater, your cans.
Oh, our cans.
Yeah. Because for
like,
one theater.
Here,
well, that's for after the cameras stop. One theater in Atlanta had a pretty disappointed audience for when into 5 minutes it was playing 50 Shades Freed instead of Black Panther. And
Very similar,
Here's
though.
a tweet from one theater goer at TreyDay421. He said that despite having ACL surgery 5 months ago, quote, I sprinted through the theater and got that turned off so damn fast.
I felt like doing that in my actual screening of 50 Shades Freed.
I was drinking, and I'm not even joking, this much rosé, which made the experience slightly more bearable. Slightly. Let's take a look at what how they
live footage.
reacted.
Okay.
Spoiler alert for you 50 Shades Freed people.
Again, that's what my actual screening of the movie sounded like.
Really?
Yeah, just like that.
I was there with the rosé, and it did. Yeah, I just like the fact that I could hear one person just going, no, no, no.
Was that a prank that the theater was pulling on them?
No, it was just a mistake.
Just a mistake.
Has there ever been a wedding more protested?
Has this happened to you guys before where they played the wrong film?
No.
No,
I don't think so.
not that I
Full
can
wrong
think of.
movie.
It's happened to me a couple of times, and usually it takes the audience a few minutes to realize what's going on. Like at first, people are kind of like, is this a weird thing that they're doing, that they're playing? And then all it takes is one person to start being like, this is the wrong film. And then there's an uprising of everybody. It's amazing.
I remember going to see Scream 2, I think it was, or it was one of the horror movie, I know what you did last summer, one of them. And there was like a mom and her son like in the theater, like a little kid. And I was like, wow, like, really? And it got like 5 minutes in, like to the first murder where there's like bloody, and she like took the kid and ran out of the theater. And I figured out that the theater next to us was playing Mouse Hunt, and that must have been what they were trying to go see. But again, I don't think it takes 5 minutes to figure out that, you know, Scream 2 or whatever
Not in
is
Mouse
not
Hunt.
Mouse Hunt.
Right, you would
Yeah.
think that the title would clue you in.
I think it was before. It was one of those things like Scream has those pre-title things
Yeah.
where it just starts and
Yeah.
then there's a big murder and
Yeah,
then.
all of
But
the
the foul
murder.
language preceding the murder, you would think would have clued her in that it wasn't.
This ain't Mouse Hunt.
This is not Mouse Hunt.
Favorite Scream kill? I think it's that first one for me. That Drew Barrymore kill.
Yeah,
was
that's
a really
pretty
good
epic.
one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Christopher Nolan, speaking of killing, is going to kill some dreams for fans of his.
Oh, boy.
So here's a quote. He was speaking with BBC Radio 4 and about Bond and whether he would or would not direct it, because he was reportedly in the running or on the short list last year for Bond 25. He said, I won't be the man. No, categorically. And this is where it's one of those quotes that's a little confusing. I won't be the man. No, categorically. ... I'd love to make a Bond film at some point, and I think those producers, Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, they do a tremendous job. And Sam Mendes has done a terrific job the last couple of films, so they don't particularly need me, but I've always been inspired by the films and would love to do one someday. So it's weird to be like, no, categorically no. But yeah, I would love to do it. So, I mean, he's clearly saying no, he's not going to be the guy to direct Bond 25. The people that are also in contention include Denis Villeneuve, who's recently sort of pulled away and said, no, I'm busy with Dune, and David Mackenzie of Hell or High Water, Jan Damage. So who knows who it's actually going to be, but I do find that quote just taken out of context. I'm sure it made sense when he was saying it, but just reading it feels a little odd. No, it's not going to be me, but yes, I would love to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just saying no to this upcoming
particular one,
and saying that, but I'm still listening, which would be awesome. I think it'd be a great fit, although part of me wishes and hopes that he'll just keep making original things. I don't really need him to become like franchise guy.
So this is why I say it's interesting to me, because if he's saying no, categorically no, to me that says there is someone and it's not him. Right? Because...
Or he committed
Yeah.
to something
He's
else.
on something else.
I think he's
Dunkirk
saying no,
too.
it's not happening, but I would like it to in the future. I don't think it. I mean, I get the confusion because it is a little weirdly phrased, but it's not that he doesn't want to; it's that he's not. I think that's just what he's saying.
Well, fine. It's not confusing as a quote, and
no,
I'm wrong.
I just feel bad. I feel
Welcome
bad.
to Tuesday.
I feel bad for Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson because it seems like now, like,
Oh, they're fine.
but I just mean, like, you know, in between Dalton and Brosnan, there's this long, protracted thing of like James Bond, who's, you know, like trying to get it. And it's like years and years and years, and then like they finally got back on track, and they got GoldenEye, and then they did the Brosnan ones, and then you had Daniel. It seems like ever since they cast Daniel Craig, like every single Bond movie, the process to make it has just been this like odyssey of like casting and re-signing, and the second one was the writer's strike, and then is Daniel Craig going to come back, and then is he going to come back again, and now is he still going to come back, and it's like a delay, and there's more rights issues, and it's like it just seems like every time now they want to make a James Bond movie, it's like, oh God, okay, and
Here
it's
we
like
go
3
again.
years of stories about is James Bond going to happen, is it not going to happen? I just feel bad that it seems like they can't make one of these clean anymore. It's like there's always the huge massive issue that's just like delays it or they push it back. And I love Bond, but you know, the whole Daniel Craig era, it seems, has been beset, and it probably cost him 1 or 2 movies because there were delays of like a year here and a year there, and now is he too old? And
Well, not that it hasn't been
and
troubled, but when was Casino Royale? What year was that?
that was in 2000, and I want to say 6.
2006. That's when they
that's
really
like-
rebooted.
Yeah, that's when they really rebooted. And like that's kind of the same birth of online film journalism and communities that pick over every detail. Like who knows? The Timothy Dalton Bond might have been the most troubled in the world, but it would be in like page 8 of Variety.
But up until Dalton, from Dalton ahead, there was a James Bond movie every 2 years, almost like clockwork. New movie. I mean, through Roger Moore, through George Lazenby, onto Timothy Dalton, and then they had a snag. And then even with Brosnan, it was like, okay, we got Brosnan. It's like every 2 years, and it just seems like after Brosnan, there's just been these complications that just keep hitting and delay and push back, and it seems like it's been a slog just to try to get every single one of these made. Whereas before, you know, they were fairly, you know, every 2 years. You got
As a
another James Bond
fan
movie.
of the films, Dan, would you want to see Christopher Nolan direct?
Yeah, I mean, he is a brilliant filmmaker. I mean, just the craft that he puts into everything. I don't know how good of a fit he would be in the sense of just like his.
Oh, come on, he's
his
cold and
style.
British. It's James Bond. Like,
Yeah, but-
mwah,
well,
he,
yeah, but
he
his
wants to be James Bond.
His filmmaking
Let's just
style.
cast him.
You know, I don't know how good of a fit it would be.
Christopher
But
Nolan as
I think
James
it would
Bond
be
and
some
directing.
really
Did I read that right?
interesting, really interesting action sequences were he to direct. I mean, that sequence from Inception, the hallway sequence, I feel so profoundly about that it's almost like love. It's almost like being in love.
lot
That's
like
how I feel
love.
about that.
No.
But what's interesting is that one of the issues that I think people had with the last film is that it got a little convoluted in terms of the plotting. And so if we think about moving away from that, which I don't know if they're thinking about that, because think about the era that they're in too, right? They are in an era where they switched gears on Bond to make it more sort of gritty and relatable, and less frothy and big. And yet then other films came out and other franchises came out that answered that. And then you've got like Mission Impossible and you've got Kingsman that are doing the big fun thing, and people are really responding to that. So probably tonally, they're not sure which direction is the correct direction to go for Bond in this era. And in that way, I do think that they're challenged.
Yeah, and I mean, James Bond too he's a dated character.
Yeah.
If you want to stay classic to the true Bond, unless you want to radically recontextualize the character, he's just out of date. He's from the '60s film, you know, cinematically. And there's some things that are just like, you know, we've seen it, and that whole thing is like, I'm the womanizing spy. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I've seen 100 knockoffs, and now, you know, I like Ethan Hunt better. I like Jason Bourne better. They're more complicated characters, which is what they've kind of tried to do with Daniel Craig. But I agree. Like, as a fan of the series with Spectre, I thought that it just got so into just like the backstory, the mythology, and it just didn't work. It seemed rushed, and yeah, I agree. You've gone from being pretty much the only mainstream spy franchise to one of 3 or 4.
But the thing about Bond is that there's always the potential to wipe the slate queen, wipe the slate
You
clean.
took a me pill today.
and completely reinvent it, as they've done so many times. And like, Mission Impossible is only going to go, and this might be a while, for as long as Tom Cruise can jump off things. He's got to only have 5 years left.
No,
of that, right?
He'll die at
he's
some
200. He is a superhuman being.
You watched all the
yeah.
behind the scenes stuff of him in the plane this
It's
time, right? Like
crazy.
him spiraling down in the
Yeah.
He can't have more than a decade left
All
of that.
he eats is spinach
Kingsman
and nuts.
stumbled
He's going forever.
on the second movie. I think Bond is going to outlast all these things, and just
Yes.
like if the next version doesn't work, they'll try again with the next version. Like this is like death taxes in James Bond movies. We'll always get them.
Yeah, and cockroaches.
Sure. That
Yeah,
too.
that too. I don't know. I think it's a pretty interesting conundrum that they find themselves in. I'm very interested to see what they do with Bond 25 because it's also probably they're feeling the pressure of it being, you know, how
25?
like a 25.
Yeah.
But I believe in Eon and I believe in Barbara Broccoli, and I also have a irrational, lifelong, to die affection for her because I had her scholarship in college, and
Really?
she made it possible for me to go to school.
That's amazing.
And then I met her and thanked her, and she was like, "It's nothing to you, Barbara, but to me, it was everything."
You're like, no, it's broccoli.
Yeah, so Bond forever, as far as I'm concerned. I am
Nailed
a
it.
broccoli Bond girl forever. Guys, it's been so good today, and we have many other things coming up to watch. For example, we're going to talk about box office again this
Talk
afternoon.
about a lot of box office, and not just here in the U.S. We're going to cover, of course, every angle of Black Panther's records and near records and new categories it invented, but also a huge weekend overseas, not only with the debut of Black Panther, but China actually had some big premieres this week, which we're going to talk about as well, because they had their own kind of record-setting box office weekend. So lots of stuff to talk about.
Lots of stuff to talk about. Their Honest Trailers is up, as well as the Honest Trailers commentary. Do you every week have one joke that you're like, that's the one that everyone's going to jump on? That's the one that everyone's going to argue with?
No, you can never really predict that.
Really?
No. Yeah.
Really? I feel like you do a lot of the time.
I can't. I mean, because they usually jump on something that, you know, I didn't think of.
You're like, oh, that wasn't
they're
even
like,
that funny in there.
Yeah, or, you know, guess what? Sometimes we get something wrong, but not this time.
No way.
How dare you?
1 week it became about how to pronounce aluminum.
Yes,
We
exactly.
never
It's
thought that would be
you
the
never know
conversation.
that would dominate the entire comment
how do
section.
you pronounce it?
Aluminium.
We said we did the Sherlock trailer and we made a joke. We said the weird way that British people pronounce aluminum, and they're like, and aluminium, and oh my god.
Yeah.
It's
like a metric system imperial
maybe
thing where like the entire world says aluminium
Yeah,
except for
except
us.
for us.
But you know what? We're in America, and we write from the perspective of an American. So get on down the road if you
Too
don't mind.
hard. Aluminium.
Why add syllables?
Aluminium.
Yeah.
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
Aluminium.
The fun thing was,
aluminum.
it was nowhere near as important to us. It was a throwaway joke to us, but it was incredibly important to so many people. But we never know. We never know what people are going to key in on. So who knows? I hope it's the Buster Bluth joke.
Yes.
That's what I'm hoping.
God, I love Buster. Aluminium. I like saying it. Roxy, give us one big TV pick for this week. What should we be watching? Putting you on the spot.
Well, because things that I've binged or things that are currently on.
Tell me
Either
what
one.
I'm watching this weekend.
All right. Well,
From my couch with
here
my cat.
my three most recent binges are Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which you
Yes.
got me on, and so did my grandmother. You guys have very similar tastes, but it turns out that is totally okay.
My mom and my aunt both love that shit.
Betty G's mom and aunt. So now we are in very good company, clearly. But it was really
What's
cool.
a fidget spinner?
It was amazing. So I really liked that. The End of the World. I don't know why that was the time I decided to curse and bleep it out myself.
exactly.
It's actually in the title. That was amazing. And I'm finally binging The Good Place because of you guys.
Oh, yeah.
You guys told me to do it, so I'm doing it.
Good stuff, right?
That's
But
all
I haven't
great,
started
great
Versace, but
stuff.
I'm going to. I know that's your pick of the bit.
That's not necessarily my pick of the thing that I think is the best television show currently on there. It's my pick of the thing that I want us to be able to talk about, so I'm forcing you all to watch it.
Yeah. Can I endorse another show? Like
Yeah.
Versace, I love the acting on Versace. I'm still iffy on the storytelling. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Waco. It's on what used to be
Yeah.
Spike TV. It's
Everybody's
now the
talking
Paramount,
about it.
Now the Paramount
Okay.
Network. It's got Taylor Kitsch.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael Shannon. John Leguizamo was in it. I don't know if he's going to come back. His character.
I
his
haven't
character
been
might
watching it
recur.
yet.
Yeah.
But I will.
And it's got Melissa Benoist, who's Supergirl.
Yes,
So
yes.
that appeals to you guys.
But if you haven't seen Waco and there's a way for you to catch up, I endorse it because it is a very good show. And it's
I
only
will
6
be watching
episodes. It's
that.
going to be 6 episodes. I think we're on episode 4. But if you have,
And
it's-
don't forget diners, drive-ins, and dives. We're grilling up some fish fillet, Tex-Mex style that you won't believe.
I will watch Waco. You guys watch
really good
Versace.
Guy Fieri.
Like you practiced that in the mirror too many times.
I've been watching it a lot. Give it here, brother.
Don't give it there, Roth. Don't give it.
Oh,
No.
I could never not. It's Benny G.
Now he's
I'm
leaving
being
you
rejected.
hanging.
Fine. I will fist bump myself because I take care of myself because I'm a modern woman. I don't know. I think that's what that
That was just an
means.
episode of The Good Place. He didn't know how to fist bump, so he went like this. He was like, what is this, fist bump?
Oh, that's not.
No,
That's dirty. Uncalled
you
for.
projected.
No.
You
Uncalled for.
projected that. Unearned
true.
Dirty Aunt Roth. Unearned Dirty Aunt
Play
Roth.
it in reverse.
Yeah.
I'm watching the Olympics meantime and enjoying the ice skating. Thank you very, very much. So I suggest that you guys join in with me on that. But if you just want something funny to watch that's very light, not too heavy like some of the ones that we've been suggesting, Superstore. It's just a solid sitcom. It's really enjoyable and funny with great characters. I suggest you tune in to Superstore and to us tomorrow at 11 a.m. where we will be returning with further entertainment newses
Yes.
and journalisms. Perfect.